Hi, this is George from Upfish, your marketing automation expert. And in today's video, I'm going to show you a couple of automations that you can use to essentially buy domains using AI and automation, register those domains, search for domains, whatever, all of this. Once you have the domains, sort out the DNS records and create a CV of pre-built email addresses to send to Google Workspaces to create email addresses to use. So why would you want this? Well, if you're doing any kind of cold email, you don't want to be using your own domain to send those emails. If you don't know why, then research it. But broadly speaking, if I send 1,000 people an email from upfish.co and 1,000 people mark me as spam, it's going to be really hard for me to just do normal emailing to people. So I would want to use a burner domain like talk to Upfish or whatever. So this is why we have this set up. And it's useful for obviously if you are just your own company like me and you want to set up some burner domains. But I've built this so that if you're an agency, then you can do it for like, tens, 20s, or however many people all at once. So to get started, it all starts in the Airtable as ever. Okay. And here I've built a new Airtable to basically be cohesive to all of the processes. Again, this is in my school page now. So essentially what you'll do is here, you'll set up a client. So if it's just you, as you see here, I'll just set up one called Upfish. And then there's, I've made various trial runs of this for some other automations. So there's 3 versions of Upfish to make sure I can do multiple ones at once. But here for this example, I've set up 2 brand new ones. One is called Downfish, one is called Sidefish. So I just add them in. I'll say that we're in the status of setup, so they're not, they're not warming. I haven't already created the emails. I'm not warming them. They're not actively in a campaign. They're not inactive for whatever reason. They're in the setup phase. I add some notes to give the ChatGPT some perspective on prefixes or suffixes. The ending of the domain. So, like try Upfish or Upfish email, for example. That's a prefix and a suffix. So to give it to some context, I'd just be like, hey, this is a B2B agency. This is the kind of industry I'm in. This is where I sell to. This one here is a SaaS company instead of an agency. I sell financial products. They do it to Germany. I would like to use the .de TLD where possible. It's just some notes to give the AI some context for later on the line. And then I'll add in my existing domain. So here I have one, ignore this column here, I need to delete that. The real domain, I'll be like, all right, this is domain downfish.com, it's sidefish.de. That is just to give the AI some context. So it would suggest, for example, try downfish.com first or try sidefish.de first or whatever. Okay. Then we have some other tabs which will come into play in later videos. The final thing here is just make sure this is unticked. So this lets the automation know not to find domains already found. So it's very simple to set up new clients or new domains or new projects that you have. You just add in a name, a little bit of context, and set the status to set up, which makes the automation start running. So periodically, this is going to look for the client info. So this is looking for clients where a domain does not yet exist, but they're in the setup phase. It comes to OpenAI, and what we have here, the important thing to keep in mind, response format JSON, because I want this in a JSON to process easier, and then I provided an example of the format I want. So to explain this format, what I'm doing is basically just saying I want a whole bunch of domains, for example this, domain.example, domain.example, and this makes it very easy for me to iterate it later on. And other than that, the only important thing is the actual prompt itself. So I would recommend not using this verboten because I'm not an outbound email specialist, but certainly as a basis, I'm telling it, you're an expert in cold outbound emails. I need 15 burner domains. Make that a variable field. So for example, for one client, you need 5, for another one 20, and the other one 50. Then just map it into the new column. The only thing to keep in mind is obviously some results are going to be unavailable or some might be 2,000 euros. So if you want 10, I recommend you set it to 20. If you want 50, set it to 100, whatever. And then after that, it's just a case of adding in some instructions. So here's the company name, the existing domain, the company notes. Here's some example of prefixes, suffixes, different TLDs. I really hope TLD is the term I'm looking for. So this would be like, instead of .com, use .ai or use .agency or whatever. And then you just tell it, if it's a B2B company, try to focus on this. If it's a B2C, try to focus on this. Try to be very sensible with the things you choose. Okay, it takes those results and it puts them through a JSON parser, of course. So this basically will just take the long string, turn it into easily mappable fields, goes into an iterator. And then we send it to Dynadot to see, is the domain even available? So there are some alternatives to Dynadot. For example, GoDaddy have a module already in Make, and it's pretty robust. There you can search for domains, buy domains, renew domains, handle DNS records. The problem with GoDaddy, even though it's very popular, the reason I didn't use it is because you need 50 domains to qualify for API access, and I don't have 50 domains. If you do, just use GoDaddy. It's quite simple. If you don't, you only really have two options. One is Dynadot and one is Namecheap. I have used Namecheap. I did experiment with that for a whole bunch of different scenarios, and it works well in most cases except for updating DNS records. There, for some reason, it won't accept API keys. I researched it's a problem a lot of people have and no one really knows why. Whereas Dynadot, in my experience, does work pretty much all the time. So to jump into what Dynadot does, I'll just delete my API key so no one can steal it. We're just making a call to Dynadot. It's an XML. It doesn't really matter what that is. Just know it's not the same as a JSON. So we'll just pass the response, and then we have to have a module afterwards against that later. We're just making a command. Search for this domain. I've made it lowercase just because we'll only process lowercase results, even though the JSON probably won't have any uppercase, just to be sure. And I tell it, show the price, give me the currency in euros. It'll give me all of the results. After that, it comes into an XML parser. What this is going to do is turn the XML into something more similar to a JSON so we can actually understand it. So just for reference, this is what an XML looks like. And then we just want to parse it to turn it into something we're more used to dealing with. Based on that, we then have a filter. Is it available? If so, add the domains to an Airtable. So we have another tab in the Airtable here of domains. This is an example of one I was running earlier for Upfish. We just add them in here. So I can then tell the automation, yes, buy this, no, don't buy it. Or I can just delete them if I want. They don't need to be there. And it lets me know the general status and health of that domain. Which tab? Yep. It adds it. Then we have an array aggregator, because if I'm running, you know, 2 clients here in this example, it turned into 29 results. I only want to do one action for the next 2 things. That's why the array aggregator handling all of this is just one process. And what this will do is create an in-tray item. So the in-trays are a new thing I've started adding to my Airtable. It means I don't need to jump into a whole bunch of different tabs, check the to-dos, or manage a bunch of Slack notifications. I have a set schema of things which are possible, tasks. They're all sort of bundled together in this single select list. And then the status. So this is an example of something that happened before. It will be every day something tells me create some sending accounts in Gmail or approve something for purchase. It lets me know what the client is connected to, the precise tasks. Then I can just jump, this is purchase domains for Upfish. So I can just jump into the domains, look at the Upfish client and be like, yes, no, yes, no. So this is the point of the in-tray. In this context anyway. So it creates an in-tray item, and then it will update a record in Airtable. And what this will do is it will just mark domains found as yes. So that client in the setup won't run again in the future. So if we run this once, we can see exactly what's going to happen live in real time. So we see here, it's found the 2 companies, Downfish and Sidefish. It's made the domain suggestion. So in terms of the output, what's this one here? This is domains for Downfish. So it's given us try downfish.ai, .io, .co. Again, I would recommend, if you are an email outbound expert, jumping into the prompt here, just to make sure it has like a full list of cool ones to use, like .agency or .eu, or maybe fish. Fish is probably possible. I could say up.fish as an example for me, for example. But anyway, it's created the thingies. It's come into the JSON parser. So this string becomes this, okay? It goes into the iterator, so that instead of an array of 15 objects, I've got 15 individual objects. Comes into, see the example here, status code 200, so it's found something. This is what an XML data looks like, by the way. So it's like, okay, great. Success code 0, downfishbots.ai is available, registration price 76 euros, renewal price 76 euros, domain is not premium, oof, pricey. The XML turns that XML code generated into something a bit more easier to understand. Downfishsales.io, it is available, it's 37 euros. This filter here of like, is it available or not, has come through, although I suspect actually that not all of this is because they're not available. So this is bundle 16. What I think is happening here is an error, subdomains not allowed, try.sidefish.de. So this hasn't popped up before, so I need to, definitely update my my ChatGPT suggestion to not use subdomains. Explicitly tell it never use subdomains, so maybe add in an extra user field of like what is not acceptable, subdomain.example.com or whatever. So that needs to be updated. But in any case, the ones that are good, it's added the domains to Airtable. So if I come into my Airtable now, I come to domains. I see here for Downfish, I've got a whole bunch of options that I can buy. For Sidefish, yep, some more options that I can buy. And then it's created an in-tray item. So now, every day when I check my in-tray, I have something here. Downfish, approved purchases for domains. Sidefish, purchase domains. Brilliant. It means I can manage everything a lot easier from one central Airtable now. And then it's updated the record. So now, if I come into my client, Downfish and Sidefish, if I scroll all the way to the side, now they're at domains found. So if I try to run this automation again, okay, so now that I've ran it again, nothing's happened. I forgot to explicitly say as well, make sure bundle order positions equals 0, because if you don't have that, for example, I'll remove this now and I'll run it again, then it will still just keep on sending through empty information. So it's good to have text operators, bundle order position exists, and again, just to test it, now I runs, it stops it, okay? So if I come back into the sales pack, this is now a point of which, okay, I'll come in. You imagine this is me now. I'm looking at the domain. I've checked my in-tray item. It says here, approved purchase domains for Downfish or Upfish. I'll come into the domains. I'll be like, right, here's Downfish. Here's Sidefish. I want to purchase a domain. Since this is just an example video, I don't want to spend 37 or 76 euros. What's cheap? €3.50. Oh, talk to company now. That was from an earlier bad example. Ignore that one. Downfish, where's a cheap one that I can use as an example? €3.50. Downfish automation. Sure, why not? So I mark this as yes. Okay, and now the second automation kicks into place. Now we have an automation which will basically buy the domains for me. So first off, it's going to look for in-tray tasks that are marked as done where the formula task is purchase domains. So what does that mean? It means here I've marked this as yes, but just because I've marked it as yes, I don't want it to start buying. Maybe I want to like do a bulk. So I'll be like, this is a yes, this is a yes, this is a yes. So once I've done what I need to do, I'll come back into the in-tray, approve domains for purchase. Was this Downfish or Sidefish? I've forgotten already. This is Downfish. So I come to the in-tray, Downfish is marked as to do. I'm going to say now it's done, and that will kick off the automation. So here, it's looking for the in-tray items related to purchasing domains that are marked as done. So if I run this module only, we should see one come back up. Yep, approved domains. Have the client ID. Okay, so now we have, I'll just copy this client ID. Now we have something called find client info. So this is going to look up the clients tab just to get a bit more reference on who that client is. So I run this module only, I'll add the record ID. Okay, so now it's got, yeah, okay, so this is Downfish, B2B agency, then the status set up, it's all good. Here's some domains attached to them, in-tray items. And then the next task is get the domains to purchase. So this is looking at basically a formula of the client ID, which I've got from the previous step. So anything connected to this Downfish, and the Downfish, remember, is collected to the in-tray item. So from the in-tray item, we get the client. From the client, we say anybody who is related to this client and the domain is marked as purchase yes, but also where active is, sorry, just purchase yes. It will run those domains. So what do I need here? The domain, was it Downfish? Yes, great, and it's found it. Downfish automations, €3.50. Burn a domain, try downfish.ai. Yeah, and the name Downfish burner domain is different to the name, which means I have made a mistake that I completely did not notice earlier. All of these burner domains are the same, or is the name of domains are different? Okay, great. I can't believe I didn't pick up on this earlier. So quickly, so in part 1 of the Dynadot AI, I've made a mapping, huge mapping error. Apologies, this is embarrassing, but I've noticed it. This is part of the process, actually. This is good to see. So it's easy to check. So obviously when I'm adding the domains to Airtable, I am using this domain, which is the first one. Ugh, stupid. It should just be the same as this, basically. Press OK, save. All right, fix that. All right, so, idiot. All right, but don't worry, small mistake. My mistake, but a small mistake. Coming back to the buying of domains. Sorry about that. So as we've already looking at earlier in our video, we're going to basically get the domains to purchase. So if I run this module again, and I'm looking for, sorry, we'll come back to where we were. So downfish, okay, press OK. It said, all right, here is this of domains, the purchase, the buy, the name, downfishautomation.co. It's €3.50. So what we next do is make a call to Dynadot to buy that domain, okay? And this is what this looks like, just an API call. So put in the key after here, register domain, and then we lowercase the burner domain name, which, just to make sure I've mapped this correctly, is, I'm going to change this just because this would have worked, and it did work, but I made a mistake just earlier. So this would be now just the name, downfishautomation.co. And we're buying it in euros, and the duration here means I only want to buy it for 1 year. I don't need a 3-year or a 5-year or a 10-year domain for cold emails. So you can change it if you want. And again, you can make it another variable field depending on your client needs, but I'm keeping this simple. I just wanted to buy it for 1 year. So that will purchase it. This tool here just adds a delay because I want to basically the next step set up a Whois record. So this set Whois, basically it makes a key to a command which I don't have, which is pretty nice, which is set Whois. And I'll just change this burner domain again to name to take into account the accent I made earlier. So set Whois domain, so the domain I just purchased, and registrant contact is this. So basically you need to go into your Dynadot account, and you'll see at some point there in the tools field, in the admin panel, there's a whole bunch of, there's a section for contacts. When you click on a contact in URL, it'll be like, here's the contact thingy. So rather than having me to type out, as you do in something like GoDaddy, a whole bunch of this is my first name, this is my last name, this is my email, this is my address, this is my billing address, blah, 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 phone number, all of the stuff you need for this registration. Dynadot have made it very simple. You just add in one contact, it gives you a code for it. And then I can say the registered contact is this code, the admin contact is this code, the technical contact, and the billing contact, all the same person. So it just goes very, very easily. I have some XML parsers. So once again, these are just looking, because we know Dynadot uses XML, so we're just parsing it out. And then it goes through a router stage. So the first router is to make sure the purchase was a success. So one of these parse HTMLs. So this is an example I ran earlier, register response success. So the first one, basically I just want to make sure that status success. Did I register the content? Yes, I did. So 78 is this one. This relates to the buying the domain. Was it a success? Did I buy it? Yes. If not, does it go through? If not, something's gone wrong. So I send a message to Slack. I failed to purchase the burner domain for this name. Need to manually purchase and add to Airtable domain. So the one I wanted to buy, for whatever reason, it failed. Maybe I don't have enough funds in my account. Maybe someone purchased it in the one day it took me to decide to buy it. Who knows? This just lets me know I need to search for another domain, and then I'll just come into the sales pack and I'll be like, all right, fine. I'll just add one in manually, or I'll research it, or I'll ask the automation to run again from scratch. It doesn't really matter. So once that happens, and then obviously then it creates a task as well to set into the in tray. Again, just to let me know there's something that needs to be done. For purchase success, if it happens, then we have another filter. And this one is, did my Whois response register? So again, I've never seen this fail in my testing. If it succeeds, we go ahead. If it doesn't, send a message to Slack and another in-tray record just to let me know that at some point I'm going to get an email from Dynadot to say, click on this link to confirm you are the owner. But that's pretty by the by. And then if it does work, then I just want to update the domain status. Everything's worked. I come into my Airtable in the domains. I use the rec when I made a search for domains earlier, and I just mark the purchase as done. And then this means that it won't be looking for domains to purchase anymore. So if this runs again for whatever reason, purchase is not set to yes, it won't find it. We tried to buy the same thing twice. I just want to let them know I've purchased domain, it's done. And then obviously, once again, I have the array aggregator just to make sure that when, if I'm buying 8 domains at once, I still only want to update a record once. So the array aggregator just removes all of that, and I just create an updating a record. So rather than deleting my earlier in tray, so coming back, what is the in tray here? Rather than deleting this task and creating a new one, I find it easier just to say update the one that's existing and just change it. So now the task is going to be buy some Google accounts, because unfortunately I've looked into automating this, but without a Google reseller API, which is hard to get. You just need to manually go into Google Workspace and say, I want to buy an account for this particular domain. And then when you bought the account, you'll be able to access your DKIM and your verification code. And then the task, broadly speaking, the task category is verification code, so if I want to sort it out later on, it does that. So do I want to purchase a domain for €3.50? I'm going to, okay, and here was a trial run just to show how it works. It gets the in-tray task, okay, it finds the client info, so this was to do with my earlier example of Upfish. It finds a domain to purchase, which in this case was upfish.co, upfish with an x.co, okay. It goes to buy the domain, set the Whois, so in the XML, we see here in terms of the register the content, succeeded, so I managed to buy upfish.co, and then for setting of the Whois, and then for the setting of the Whois, we see here success, Whois response, Whois header, success code 0, status success. So it buys the domains, it sets the Whois, okay, and then I'll come back into here. And then what happens after, so this was what you saw there was the first half, and then we'll just go through this part here. Select notifications when something goes wrong, otherwise update the domain status and mark it as active. We'll mark it as purchased and done, and then create a new record in order to set up the DNS records, which brings us on to step 3. So this is a bit of a crazy one. Let me just explain this flow. So as you saw just a little while ago, I was very hesitant to buy a domain for €3.50. So you'll see why I'm hesitant as well to buy a Google Workspace account, even though it's a free trial. So I did an example. When I was testing this earlier, I did it. I don't feel like doing it again. So I'll show you a previous run of this. But basically what happens next is after you've purchased the domains, it creates an in-tray item. All right. So if I come to sales pack, in-tray, you'll get something like this. Buy Google accounts and grab DKIM and verification code. I mark this as not done, it's to do. Okay. And then we have some examples here, create sending accounts. But basically for the purpose of this example, you get a notification in the trace to say, all right, the purchase has been made for the domains. Buy the Google accounts, grab DKIM and verification code for Downfish. It's in the verification code. So again, I'm like, all right, great. Pump into the domains. Where's Downfish? Downfish is here. These are the domains I've purchased. Okay, so I'll log in. I'll make an account on Google Gmail for downfishagency.co and one for downfishautomation.co. All right, and then I'll mark this. I'll mark the once I've purchased it, I will hop in to the Gmail and I'll grab a verification code and DKIM. So let me see an example I ran earlier. This was for Upfish. Hopefully, I don't think you can see a lot here. Yeah, I hope I'm not giving away too much information. No, okay. So here is an example that I did earlier. I had a notification. I purchased, yes, upfish.co. It was $3.29. Excellent price. So I purchased it and then I marked the status and my task is done. I went to Google Workspaces. I set up a trial with an account, upfish.com. Sorry, this is upfish.com is one I actually own. No, I own upfish.co too, but sorry. Went to Google Workspaces, set up a trial account, upfish.co. And then I went in there and I grabbed the verification key and the DKIM key. And I just added it here into this Airtable, okay? And then what I also did was I have essentially just pre-built email addresses for all accounts I'm going to use. So again, depending on how many people you have, 20, 30, just one like me, what I do here is I set the name of the emails I want. So this is going to become George Woodworth at upfish.co or downfish.ai or whatever, g.woodworth at email. George.woodworth at email, George at email. And I can make as many of these as I want, any kind of variations. And I just need to fill in the first name and the last name, photo URL if I so choose. And I just attach it to a client. So here I'll be like, okay, I've set up, who did I set up? Downfish. I'll be like, all right, add this to Downfish or add it to Sidefish or add it to whoever. And this means that if Sidefish, this hypothetical client is like, I need all of my clients to be called Samantha, whatever. I'll be like, all right, fine. This is Downfish's Samantha. I'll just add it in here. I'll be like, okay, great. And I come now to the clients tab. It's all connected. So here I'll be like, Downfish. Who are the salespeople attached to Downfish? Oh, it's here. It's Samantha. Okay, great. It's all connected. That's quite nice. But anyway, this is the principle. I'll just add in a bunch of variations of emails I want, attach them to the clients, and then auto generates a password for me. So let's have a look. What do I have here? I just have a default as 12921. Basically what this means is when I'm creating the email accounts, I don't want to have like a million passwords to remember. So I just set it as a default, or I can set this up to be randomized. Doesn't matter, but the point is it's stored so I can always find it. and the DNS records. So once again, as with all of these automations, what I'm doing is setting up an open task, finding an open task rather. So main tray, something that's done and it's in the verification code category. So again here, coming back to the sales pack to remind you of what that is. I have my in tray, verification code category. This is to do, it's marked as done now. So if I run this module only, it finds, okay, something's happened for Downfish. Oh, he's found the DKIM in the verification code. So run this module only, it finds the client using the record ID from here. So I'll just add this in, client ID. So then it finds the client, downfish.com. Then it will grab the verification key, so it looks up the domains where the verification key is not blank but actually exists. So in case I've bought domains in the past, I'm going to buy them in the future, and some are active or not. So basically, if the verification key exists, let's go ahead. So it will look for that information from my domains tab, and then it will call Dynadot to set the records. So what happens here? Makes a call to the API. And basically all I want to do here is set up the domain that I have. So this is connected to my domains here, the main record type next. So the domain that I've purchased, what was it, upfish.co or Downfish Automations? I'm so confused now, but whatever. The burner domain that I purchased, I want to update the main record type as a text to be the verification key. I want to update another text record to be the DKIM key. And also need to set up another record for that record that it uses google._domain key. I need to set up an MX record that matches smtp.google.com. And I set that x2 to be 1. I need to set up a main record 3 as a text, which is the SPF key. I have another text record, which is a DMARC. I have another record, which is a CNAME, which connects to open.sledtrack.com, which is the custom tracking for smart leads. And then I have here an option that you have in Dynadot, which is a stealth forwarding. So I'll forward that email address to the main domain, which is https. The real domain we connected earlier, so upfish.com. And then I'll just say, all right, the name of that forwarding is home, and then I'll add to the DNS. So anything that already exists there, I'll just add to the current DNS settings. So that updates all of the DNS settings up in once. Then I have an Airtable just to say this particular domain has now been set up. So I move it to active. Yes, the domain is good. We have an iterator to look at the salespeople. So I have salespeople here, which is connected to model number 66, which is related to 62. So when we were looking for get a record for Downfish, again, I come back to the client's Downfish, I have a salesperson connected to it, this Samantha person. So what it would do is it will iterate all of those record IDs. Okay, so I have like 5 or 6 salespeople. You'll get the salespeople records. It will create a CSV with all of that information. So I created a data structure. I have the first name, the last name, the email address, the password hash function, which I leave blank, the org unit path, which is a / always, and then the rest of it I leave blank. So I create the CSV, I upload the file to my Google Drive, okay, I call it sales list upfish, sales list downfish, whatever.csv, and I map the data text from my CSV there. Once it's uploaded, I get a share link, and then I put that share link into Airtable as an updated in-tray item. So what does that look like? That will look like, do I have one of these here? Create sending accounts in Gmail, yeah, upfish. So what I'll do is I'll get a notification to say create the sending accounts. I have a link to the file so I can just download it. So this will give me a link to the CSV so I can just download it, hop into Google Workspaces and upload it. I'll show you a previous run of this because again, I haven't bought anything new. When it's running, let's see what's happening. It's found the open task for having done the verification key has been marked as done. It's found the client, which is Downfish. It's found the DKIM and verification code for downfishautomations.co. Sorry, just had to move my face to hide my API key, and we see here status code is set to success. It's updated the record in Airtable just to say that this is now active. It's all good, active, true, everything's set up. It's iterated the results, it's got the records of the various salespeople, and now it's created a CSV of those salespeople, so Samantha, George and George. It's uploaded the file to my Google Drive, it's got the share link, and it's updated that record to Airtable. So now if I come into my Airtable, I have a new in tray item to upload the CSV to Google. So I manually need to go into Google, add user, bulk upload the CSV. But that's easy to do. I've just come into my Google Drive, can just download to grab that CSV, upload it, very easy. I don't need to search around for it. And if I come back to Dynadot and I click on Upfish Automations, before it was empty, and now we have information. I hope none of that is, well, it's all just fake information anyway, but still, it's there. So the DNS record has been updated. All right, so that would be this step of the scenario done. And then once I have the email addresses created and set up in Google, it's just a case of hopping into Smart Lead and warming them up, which then would take. I'll address that in a video coming soon. So I really hope you enjoyed this one. It's not a particularly complex one, although it is a pretty long video in retrospect for what it is. This is still very much a work in progress. As you can see here, there's a lot of tabs. This whole process will take into account a lot of different elements of the outbound sales cycle. So if that excites you, please check out my school on my Gumroad. Thank you.